Psychology of people who grieve relationships that haven't ended yet. You're sitting across from them at dinner. They're talking, laughing, telling you about their day. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet voice whispers, "I'm going to miss this." Not later. Not after something ends. Right now. In the middle of it. You're mourning someone who's still right in front of you. Strange, isn't it? Grief is supposed to follow loss. That's what we're taught. Something ends, and then the sadness comes. But what about when the sadness shows up early? When your heart starts packing its bags while the relationship is still technically happening? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know. Either way, this kind of grief doesn't have a name in everyday conversation, so most people assume they're broken for feeling it. They're not. There's real psychology behind why some of us mourn what we haven't lost yet, and understanding it might change how you see your closest connections. Let's start with a profile I call the slow fade witness. Picture this. You've known someone for years. Best friend, sibling, maybe a partner. And at some point, you realize they're not quite who they used to be. Or maybe you're not. Either way, the conversations feel thinner. The silences feel heavier. Nothing dramatic happened, no fight, no betrayal, no obvious rupture. But something shifted, and now every interaction carries this strange aftertaste. You're still texting. Still making plans. But when you hang up the phone, you feel a sadness you can't explain. What's happening here is something psychologists call ambiguous loss. It's grief without closure. The person is still present, technically, but the relationship you once had? That's already gone. You're mourning the version of them that used to exist, or maybe the version of you that existed with them. This is why it feels so confusing. Your brain is processing a death that hasn't been declared. And without a clear ending, you never get permission to grieve properly. So the sadness just lingers. Underneath everything. Then there's another type. Let's call this one the anticipatory mourner. You can feel the ending coming. Maybe your partner has grown distant. Maybe your friend group is slowly fragmenting. Maybe someone you love is sick, and even though they're still here, you've already started imagining life without them. So you begin grieving in advance. Not because you've given up, but because your mind is trying to prepare you. This is anticipatory grief, and it's more common than most people realize. It often shows up in situations involving illness, but it also appears in relationships that are clearly fading. Your brain, in an attempt to soften the blow, starts processing the loss before it officially arrives. The strange part? It doesn't necessarily make the actual ending easier. Sometimes it just means you grieve twice, once in the waiting, and once when it finally happens. But here's the thing worth knowing, this kind of grief isn't pessimism. It's protection. Your mind is trying to take care of you the only way it knows how. Now here's a twist. Some people grieve relationships that haven't ended, not because the relationship is dying, but because they've outgrown it. This is the quiet outgrower. Imagine you've changed. Maybe you went through something that reshaped you, therapy, a move, a personal crisis, a spiritual shift. And suddenly the people who once felt like home start feeling like a house you've already moved out of. You love them. You might even still need them. But something inside you knows you've become someone they don't fully recognize. And worse, you're not sure they want to know the new version. So you start grieving in private. Not for what's lost, but for what no longer fits. It's a grief wrapped in guilt, because nothing bad happened. They didn't hurt you. You didn't fight. You just grew. And growth, for all its beauty, sometimes means leaving pieces of your life behind, including people who only knew how to love the old you. Psychologically, this connects to something called identity discontinuity. When who you are shifts dramatically, your brain struggles to reconcile your past self with your present one. And relationships built on the old version of you can start to feel like artifacts. Meaningful, yes, but no longer alive. There's one more profile worth mentioning. I call this one the loyal ghost. This is the person who stays. Out of duty, history, fear, or love that's more memory than fire. They are still showing up. Still saying the right things. But internally? They've already said goodbye. They've rehearsed the ending so many times that the relationship feels like an echo of itself. This kind of grief is particularly heavy because it comes with performance. You're grieving while pretending you're not. You're mourning while still being expected to participate. And there's often shame attached to it, like you're betraying someone by grieving them before they're gone. But here's what I want you to hear. This doesn't make you cold. It doesn't make you disloyal. Sometimes the heart knows things the calendar hasn't caught up to yet. And feeling the loss early doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're paying attention. So why does any of this matter? Because if you've ever felt that strange, premature sadness, that grief-shaped ache for something that's technically still there, you're not broken. You're not dramatic. You're just someone whose emotional awareness runs a little ahead of the surface reality. And that's not a flaw. It's depth. The real question is, what do you do with it? Some people use that grief as a signal, a nudge to repair what can be repaired, to speak what hasn't been spoken. Others let it prepare them for a transition they know is coming. And some simply learn to hold two truths at once, that something can still be here and already be missed. So, which of these profiles feels familiar to you? Are you the slow fade witness? The anticipatory mourner? The quiet outgrower? Or maybe the loyal ghost? Drop a comment and let me know which one hit closest to home. And if you're someone who often feels things before you're supposed to, before the world says it's time, consider subscribing. This channel is built for minds like yours.